Hello everyone! So this isn't exactly a Christmas or holiday card, more of just a winter themed any occasion card. So I thought I would include it in my Christmas card series just because. I'm using Stamping Bella's Uptown Girl Queen in Her Boots, and it was for the Bellarific Friday challenge, which was to use buttons or bows on your card, or both. And to be honest, I was totally stumped and not feeling very creative and had no idea what I was going to do. I picked a winter themed image and then decided I wanted to match the colors in the new Doodlebug Frosty Friends 6x6 pack that I showed in a haul a couple weeks ago. It's been sitting on my desk ever since, and I really love like the purples and teals and everything, so I thought I would color the image like that and then see where it goes from there. So I stamped it onto some CC Designs Copic Quality 80-pound white cardstock with my Memento Tuxedo Black hybrid ink, and then colored in her skin with E50, E21, and then R20. And then her hair was E25, 27, and 29. And because there's some blues in the pattern paper, I decided to color some blue. And if you guys have watched my videos for some time, you'll know I do not use blue very often. Don't ask me why. I actually really like the color blue. But when it comes to Copic coloring, I rarely use them. My very old video on Copic recommendations, you know, my favorite colors and beginner recommendations, I don't even think I recommended any blue markers. I had so many people emailing me about that. That video is like years old, by the way, but I still get emails about it. And yeah, I just don't use blues very often. But this particular combo is a really good one. Just a good all-around nice shade of blue. And it's B23, B24, and B26. And you can see it just creates like a nice, it's like a deep sky blue color, really. Really pretty. Yeah, my blue markers are the least used colors in all of my Copic colors. Couldn't tell you why. So once I was done with the trim and the little poof on her hat and the scarf, I decided to gray for the rest of the hat and for her boots. And I wanted it fairly light, so I just used C1, and then I added some C2 and some C3, and then just quickly blended that with the C1. Again, I'm keeping my coloring as simple as possible. And again, I was not sure what I was going to do for a layout. I thought I was going to kind of keep this cardstock panel as is and then just trim it down. And then as I was coloring, I started thinking about, well, maybe like this image is fairly easy to trim out, like to fussy cut. Because I don't even think I've ever done it with any of my Uptown Girl images, because they're so intricate and detailed, and it can be done. It's just time consuming and I don't want to bother. But the more I was coloring this, I was like, you know what, I think I can do it. So I started worrying less and less about going outside the lines or anything else as I was coloring, because I was like, I'm going to cut it out anyway. So I did her jacket in purples, and that was V12, V15, and V17. And then for the trim, I used BG15 and the little dabs of BG49. And I also used that BG49 to color in the buttons as well. And then for her skirt, it was the same combo, just with BG13, 15, and then the 49. And love how they pretty much just blend themselves together. And then her legs, I had not colored in skin color. I was going to originally, because it kind of looks like she's got bare legs, but then I'm like, it is cold and nobody in their right mind is going to be standing in the snow with bare legs. So I gave her some lilac colored leggings, and I just used the same colors as her jacket, just the two lighter, so V12 and V15, and quickly colored those in. And then I trimmed these out with my detail cutting scissors, which I do off camera because it's easier to kind of hold it up to my face to make sure I'm getting even cuts and not cutting anything off. And then for these little two interior parts, I'm just grabbing my craft knife, and I always find the craft knife works best if I cut towards me. So I just move the image around so that every cut I make is towards me. So I'm not trying to like twist around, and even though this is 80-pound cardstock, so it's not super heavyweight, you still have to use a fair bit of pressure to cut through it, and always make sure you're cutting over a good cutting mat and not slicing up your desk, because that would kind of suck. But yeah, another reason with this image why I didn't mind fussy cutting is there was only these two spots to use a craft knife, and they weren't too difficult. So I made all my cuts and was able to pop it out, and then that big spot, I just used the tips of my detail scissors there to cut any spots I might have missed, and then was able to pop those out. And then always with fussy cutting, I like to take my Tombow or my Memento Tuxedo Black marker and just using the brush tip, running the edge all along the edge of my cutting here. So it just blackens all the white space in any spots I might not have cut perfectly, so then it does look like a perfectly cut image in the end. And then of course I'm using pattern paper from the Doodlebug Frosty Friends pack, and totally flying by the seat of my pants. I was like, well, I guess I need to create some snow now for her to stand on, and then the background should be kind of a bluey green color because, you know, it should be sky. This was just my mental process as I was doing it. So I took one of the kind of whiter pattern papers from the pack and just sketched on a couple of snowdrifts with a pencil, and then cut them out, and then erased any of the pencil lines with the eraser. And then decided to kind of, since my cutting is not, you know, perfectly smooth, it would have looked nicer with a die cut, but I was kind of running behind as usual, so I just did everything by hand, and I just used the edge of my fingernail to kind of rough it up. You can get tools to do this, but a fingernail works just as well. So roughed up the edges a little bit for some texture, and then I cut down one of the blue pattern papers from the pack just to kind of tie in that blue from her scarf there. And then just some, this is some AmyR's wrinkle ribbon from my stash, and the purple kind of went really nicely with pattern paper. So I taped a piece around the pattern paper and then tied a bow so that it met the challenge requirements of buttons or bows. I decided to go with just a bow and not add any buttons to this card. So got that in place, and I'm going to adhere my little snowdrifts, and then I decided to add a little bit of glimmer. So I just took my clear Wink of Stella and quickly went over different parts of the image here. You can't see it at all in camera or pictures, but I've shown enough, I think, in videos that you can really see how much shimmer you get. The clear isn't as shimmery as the colors, in my opinion, but it just gives it that little extra something. So quickly went over all of that with that, and then to adhere it, first I wanted to mat the pattern paper. So I still have a bunch of old, this is Orchid Opulence cardstock from Stampin' Up. They retired this years ago. I still have a ton of old Stampin' Up cardstock. And yeah, the purple matches perfectly with this Doodlebug paper. So matted the pattern paper with that, adhered that to my card, which is a standard A2 size card. So 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So got that into place, and then finally I'm going to adhere my little Uptown Girl here. So some Tombow Monomulti, and always making sure not to put on too much glue so you don't have glue oozing out everywhere and making a mess. So adhere her so it looks like she's standing in the snow, and then I wanted to finish it off, so I took my C00 marker, and then off camera I added actually a little bit of C1 because when this dry you could barely see it, but just to give that little bit of shading and shadow around her feet there. And then to finish off the inside, I just inked up the image again, this time with Memento Lulu Lavender ink, and stamped that kind of in the lower corner of the inside of the card. And then the little sentiment comes with this stamp. So this time I inked this one up with my MFT Black Licorice Hybrid ink, and using my stamp positioner to make sure I get it stamped straight on the inside of the cards. Get that into place, then I ink it up again, and then stamp it. And that's all there was to it, and that finished off my card. So if you're interested in any of the supplies I use, there will be a link below the video in the description box. It will go to my blog post with links to all the supplies, as well as all that info will be in the description box below, so make sure to check that out if you're interested. Thank you guys so much for watching and subscribing and thumbs upping my videos, and I will see you all next time. Bye!